This week's episode is sponsored by Helio Gas Detection. Hey everyone, this is Leia for the Smashing Skull Sessions. I'm joined by Justin and Elaine from WristmeetRazor. Guys, how you doing?
Doing great.
All good to hear. Welcome to the podcast. For our listeners who maybe haven't heard of you guys before, do you want to introduce yourselves and the role you play in the band?
Sure. My name's Justin. I am the vocalist.
I'm Elaine. I play bass.
Awesome. So how did the band start?
The band started in 2017. Our original guitar player had like a bedroom project that I had hit him up about online. It was kind of like not something that was known about, but I had kind of figured it could be a thing. So I hit him up and told him that it was something that, like, if he wanted to do as a serious band, I was interested in turning into a serious band. And so that kind of just put it in motion. Eventually, things just kind of fell in line from there.
Awesome. That's really cool. The band's new album, Degeneration, is out the 29th of March. How was the
Uh-huh.
recording process for it?
It was great. It was real unique. We don't usually record records in like traditional ways ever. We usually do I mean, in the past we've recorded kind of completely separate from each other. And so on our last record, Replica of a Strange Love, we recorded together, and that was the first time that we had ever recorded a record, like a full record, all in the same place. We pre-pro'd that with Isaac from Knock Loose before we went in, and then we went and recorded it. This record was very different from that one because we did the whole thing in the woods with Randy Lebeouf, who's done Dying Wish and Acacia Strain and stuff like that. And so with that, we went in, we had some ideas, but we went in and completely did the record with him. So he pre-pro'd it with us, and then we recorded immediately afterwards. There was no like drop off. We literally pre-pro'd the whole thing, and then we recorded the whole thing in the same month.
That's pretty cool. Pretty impressive doing it all in a month.
Yeah, it was daunting, but
Yeah.
it was interesting.
Going in with nothing is scary because we went in with like one Logic file that Tyler had that just had a handful of riffs in it and just went entirely off of that.
That's really cool. Like you guys being able to take that one file and being able to come out of the forest with a whole album. Like that's pretty sick.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
And what was it like recording out in the forest?
It was interesting. We didn't. I think a lot of bands take have different takes on how they want to go about stuff like that, but we wanted to do it in a way where it was kind of like in isolation. So we were in isolation. We didn't really leave. We only left three separate times, and every time it was just to get groceries because we would cook every night. And we never left really. So it was kind of a thing where we were kind of stir crazy to a certain extent. And that added a lot to what the record ended up being. I think it added a lot of the emotional level of it. Because I think that when bands go and record records, there's a level of suffering that needs to happen in order to put out something interesting. I think if you're too comfortable, a lot of the music comes out kind of showing that, in my opinion, at least.
Fair. And how isolated were you guys? Were you like deep into like the woods or like
There's some houses around that house, but
Yeah.
it was like small neighborhood,
Yeah.
middle of the woods type stuff for sure.
Yeah. It was,
Like when you're in the house, you can't see the houses that are around it.
we were at least, I think, like 2 or 3 miles away from anything that was like a grocery store or anything like that, or like a gas station. Like it was far.
you've like
So
described every like village in Ireland now perfectly.
that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
no.
mean, in the States, especially where most of the places where you bands record at,
Mhm.
um,
All cities
yeah,
for the
you're
most
like
part.
pretty located, at least in some sort of industrial kind of area.
Hmm.
But this was not that at all. This was completely the opposite, one of the main reasons to doing it, because it was such an
Yeah.
interesting and unique experience. Like a lot of times bands don't ever get that opportunity. So it was something I think we needed to jump on, and we did. So
That's pretty cool. Because where I live, I'm like 40 minutes away from the nearest city. So like
interesting. Interesting.
I'm in the middle of nowhere. Like I've got woods near my house. So
Mhm.
it's like it's the sticks, as people call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could
In
probably relate. Yeah, that's probably a similar situation to what we were at when
Mhm.
we recorded this. So that's cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the full thing. Like,
Thank you.
yeah. So how did you come up with the album title of Degeneration?
Uh, the title is a little bit of I had a much longer title originally, and Degeneration was kind of the summation of what that is. The album title, though, is basically the overall concept of the record. We've never really done concept records. As actually, most of the lyrics on all the other records were kind of done in a very specific way, where it was like diary entries kind of thing. Like we would write the song instrumentally, and then I would write the lyrics, but the lyrics wouldn't necessarily be written all to go with a theme. And this one was done in a way where every track, in my opinion, does fit into a theme. It's not necessarily a concept album because I wouldn't say that it fits so narrowly into that thing where it could be considered a concept, but the whole record deals with uh, societal degenerations, kind of an absurdist, kind of misanthropic kind of look on that. And then mostly the idea is basically that degeneration as it's reflected upon myself. And then I kind of look at it as I'm the man in the mirror, kind of reflecting back a lot of what is reflected on me. So,
That's really interesting. What was the original album title, if you can say it? You
uh,
have me intrigued.
I had a couple of them, but a lot of them use the word decadence in it. And I think the one that I liked the most was terminal decadence. But to like in theory, it's the exact same thing as degeneration. They mean the same thing. It's just a little bit more summarized version of what terminal decadence would have been. But that originally that was my idea. And that again, both of those things are like the same kind of concept and the same general idea put towards the lyrics. So
Pretty cool. You went for the double barrel to the one word, so awesome. Right on
yes,
point.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you could collaborate with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be? And you can both give an answer for this.
Oh, cool. That's a tough one. That's a really
It
tough
is
one
very tough.
because a lot of the ideas that I would have with like collaborations usually involve like having them like work towards their strengths as opposed to like having them like you know what I mean? Like when I think about a collaboration, I don't think about writing a song or a record that sounds exactly like the artist that I'm thinking of. But I would love to do a collaboration with David Bowie. Like that would be amazing. And there's a lot of cool aspects of stuff like that that are untapped. So that's my answer, I would say.
That's pretty cool. And Elaine, do you have an answer?
It's hard for me also. And I feel like it would also just change based on when I was asked. And also just the whole record has so many different like I don't necessarily want to say genres because they all balance well together and fit well together in their own ways. But if I was leaning more towards like the more industrial tracks, then I would say it would be a hard choice between like over Ogre or Kevin Key from like Skinny Puppy, anything else that they do. Also, they've done so much, but like most well known, Skinny Puppy for sure.
Skinny Puppy and David Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be some combination with WristmeetRazor. Like,
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure. I
it'd be
think
very interesting.
it makes a little bit more sense if you hear the new record.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked David Bowie as
Yeah,
like someone that is very versatile though. That's kind of how I see it is like uh
he's done a lot of stuff with a lot
versatile
of different
musicians are the
musicians.
ones that I would want to collaborate with the most. On our new record, we have a song with Kevin from originally he was in the band Old Wounds. And now he does a band called The Shape, which is like a dark wave kind of project. So
That's the shape. That's so ominous.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's kind of singy dark wave. It's not metalcore at all, but he's really good at doing different stuff. So
Is he a big Halloween fan? I think that's what Michael Myers is called, The Shape, isn't it?
it is. It is
Yeah.
exactly what that's Michael Myers' original name is the shape. So yeah, no, I think it's similar to that. I think that's the vibe on it.
Mhm.
I gotta check that out then. So wrist
Hold on.
meets right. Oh yeah.
I lost my earbud. Yeah, no, no, definitely should. That's already out right now, actually.
Awesome. I'll check it out.
Yeah, yeah, I would definitely recommend checking that out. And then,
Very cool.
yeah, his track with us is on the record, so hopefully you like
Savage.
that one too. Yeah.
I'll definitely look forward to it.
Hmm.
So Wrist Meet Razor is a really eye-catching name. How did you
Hmm.
come up with the name? Is there a story behind it or?
No, there's like an anti-story behind it, really. It was just a song title from a band called Usurp Synapse that we thought was cool. We basically thought it was eye-catching. That was the whole point of it. Is it's something that um generates conversation and attention. And I think it looks cool. But ultimately, there's not like some sort of actual reasoning, but further than that.
I mean,
Ultimately, like,
if it sounds cool, that's like a reason
yeah,
enough. Like,
yeah. And then I mean, ultimately, like it ended up being representative of the band and our lyrics and kind of like what we're about, which is, you know, um, not necessarily not pro suicide, obviously, but definitely bringing awareness to that more so. And so the name helps with that a lot. We do get a lot of questions about that, especially in person from people
Yeah.
that either don't know or find it interesting or sometimes find it concerning. It it generates a lot of conversation. So I definitely think of it as a positive as opposed to a negative, though I we have gotten, both good and bad
I'd
from it. So
100% view it as a positive as well. Like, either or
yeah,
is like, getting conversation, either,
Mhm.
kind of talking about stuff or, and
right.
did, the song title, did it have spaces or was it the one compiled word?
No, it has spaces and it has
Has
a
spaces and
comma
a
in
comma,
it.
yeah.
We decided to do it as one combined word again for aesthetic purposes. We thought it looked cool. And there were some other bands around the like influences that we had that also did the no spaces thing. At the time, it was kind of a thing that we thought was just kind of cool. I don't know if that's what I would do now. Like if given the opportunity to choose the name today, I'm pretty sure we would try probably do something different. I would definitely lobby to do something different, but that is what our name is. So.
Yeah, because when I saw like the email that I got about your guys' new album, I was
Mhm.
immediately brought back to like, I was like, I forgot the no spaces thing existed, kind of like taking
Yeah,
all the vowels out and that was a
yeah,
phase for a while as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The no spaces thing is like it's interesting because it's gone in and out throughout
Coming back again
like
now, yeah.
decades. Like that, I mean, there was bands doing no spaces in the 80s, and in the 90s and then in the 2000s. So it goes in and out as like a thing that bands would like to do. And I don't think it necessarily is like specific to one genre either. But a lot of times when people hear it, they have like an exact thing that they picture, like an exact time point that they picture. So that is an aspect of it that, is what it is.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as the nonsensical like song titles coming back with like,
Right,
Hot
right, right.
Full
Mulligan fronting
sentences.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
love a good full sentence song title.
And we've done a little bit of that before too. But yeah, again, it kind of dates you to like an exact period to a certain extent, which is good and bad in both ways. So
They all come back in phases eventually, so.
right, 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 for sure.
Do you have any album releases you're looking forward to in 2024 so far, or any that you've heard, and you can both give an answer again.
Uh, any that are coming out this year?
Yeah, or any that you've heard so far.
Well, um, for anyone listening, this happened today, like while we're doing this, but the Sea Space Cowboy album that announced today,
Very
um,
excited for that.
comes out in April, and we're excited about that one. That sounds pretty cool to me. Um, and then yeah, I don't know. I don't. I try not to focus too much on stuff like that because I'm so focused on us. So I actually don't really know too many other current ones. I mean, when they come out though, I do try to listen to them. So I'm sure there's a lot of other good ones coming.
I just can't keep track of dates. There's so many dates and I can't like I have like a vague idea of bands who have them coming out this year and I immediately lose the name and the date that it happens, but I know that it's happening at some point.
That's totally fair. I know Bring Me the Horizon are supposed to be dropping their new album
Mhm.
eventually. It'll probably be next
Yeah.
year at this rate.
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean
Uh,
that one will be a good one too. So
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
right,
the
right, right.
single they put out was really cool. I liked it.
They've been so solid for so long. Like, in my opinion, they had a little bit of a dip with Ammo, but like some of the songs on there were still pretty sick.
Still good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to see what they bring because they're hot off of their Brit Award win. I'm not sure if you guys are
Hmm.
familiar with the Brit Awards.
Uh-huh.
It's like the British Grammys.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Cool.
And we're on to our last question. Do you have any
Sure.
advice for anyone wanting to start a band in 2024?
In 2024, I would say if you really want to start a band, the best way to do it is to tirelessly practice whatever it is that you want to do. Just do it every single day, nonstop, over and over and over again until you get so good that people can't deny wanting to join a band with you. Ultimately that's what it is. There's so many musicians out there, and we're at such a position in time when you can put anything on the internet and anyone can find it. Like it's the easiest time to join a band, but if you're serious about it, you should be good. So you should try to practice as much as you possibly can, and so you get good. And then at some point, you become so good at what you want to do that it's undeniable, and someone will like reach out to you, and you'll join a band. So that's how I see it, at least.
Mhm.
That's very fair. And Elaine, do you have anything to add?
I would say pretty much the same thing as well as don't let yourself be limited by distance. I mean, it's easy to say from our position because it kind of fell into place that everybody lives really far apart, but we've reached a point where like it's definitely not as hard because you're not relying on people that live in the same city as you anymore. Um, the practicing thing is important. Obviously, not everybody's like a writer when it comes to music. Like I'm not much of a writer just on the offset. I can write bass lines underneath something, but like if I have to write a melody, I'm going to struggle with it. But if you think you can write and you are like able to, I think one of the best ways to do it is just to do pretty much what this band did when it started, which is just do everything yourself. Like obviously it's harder to do everything yourself if you can't play every instrument, but like if you have something written already, it's a lot easier to be like, "Hey, here's this thing I have. Do you want to play it?" versus, "Hey, I don't have anything written and you don't know whether or not I can play or not, but like do you want to try to start something?" I feel like if you do it without anything prepared, then it falls apart more often than not. But that could also just be my own personal experience.
That's totally fair because I fit like I love the DIY or die kind of attitude. Like
Mm-hmm.
um, but if you have enough drive, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Pretty much, especially with music, because it speaks to people. So if you're able to continue on and you're able to create stuff that people like connect with, then you can do anything straight up.
Like I'd be happy if I ever got like one monthly listener. Like at
Yeah, I
least I'd be
mean,
reaching someone.
Yeah.
it all like grows naturally kind of thing. So like the more drive you have towards doing it, the more you put it out there, the more people will find it. It's
Like
usually how it goes.
and I think people shouldn't get like discouraged if they don't get any likes or any views. Like it just doesn't mean you haven't been discovered yet. Someone's gonna come
Yeah,
along eventually.
and
Yeah.
on top of that, like I think there's a lot of pressure, especially in the social media age, put on things like followers and streams and shit like
Unnecessarily
that.
so, because most of it
It
doesn't even
it's
matter.
all pointless. None of that shit matters. Only thing that matters is that what you're putting out there is something you believe in. If you continue doing that, all the rest of that shit will come. None of it really matters in the moment. And really, even if you're doing it and it's something that you like to do, if you're not getting streams, like it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And on top of that, like if you care about it on a business level, there are bands that don't have very many streams or followers. They get to do all kinds of stuff. It's like you can do stuff at any level. So I would say don't let any of that discourage you at all. None of that really matters.
An
If
opportunity exists somewhere down the line.
exactly, or anyway, like, or even in the current. You know, like there's always an opportunity. And as long as it's something that you want to do and you're putting a lot of effort and creativity and it's something that's important to you, there will be opportunities. There always will be. That's how music works. And especially now that, you know, things are as accessible as they are to the whole world all the time, there will always be someone.
That's some really, really positive advice.
Yeah. It's kind of the way, you know, that's the one thing that I think is positive about it is like about the current state of things is that it is out there always. Like when you put music on the internet, it exists there forever. And unlike just releasing a record, when that record goes out of print or when it just disappears, then it kind of dies. That doesn't happen anymore. Like you put it on the internet, it lives there forever. It's basically like part of history now, period, as soon as you release a record or any music at all. So release music, have it be out there forever. It's important.
Like even if it gets deleted, someone's gonna rip it
Yeah.
and re-upload
Someone will
it.
have
It's
it.
gonna be there
Hmm.
forever.
Yeah, or you can always, as long as you have it, you can always upload it right
Yeah.
back. You know what I mean? Like you could put stuff back on the internet forever. You know, it's different though, 'cause when you have like released a record or a CD or something and there's money behind it, and the only way that it gets heard is if, you know, it gets put in a store and then someone buys it. You know, we don't live in that era anymore at all. So if music is something you love, you have the potential to always put it out there and have people hear it, you know, forever.
100%. Thank you, Justin and Elaine. Thanks for sitting down and talking with me.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
No problem. And Degeneration is out now.
Social medication.